Karl Konrad and welcome to the weekly edition of Australian Immigration News. This channel is proudly brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services, the company I founded in Sydney more than 25 years ago. You have found the only channel that not only keeps you up to date with the immigration law and policy changes, but also gives you an analysis based upon our quarter of a decade professional practice in the industry. A special welcome too to our new subscribers, and a big thank you for many of you who have watched this channel for years now and regularly participate in providing your comments. Well, the Home Affairs Minister and the Immigration Minister have yet to surface after their New Year holidays, but there's still lots to talk about anyway. Firstly, let's go to the updates on the latest 189, 190 and 491 invitations that have happened to date so far. With half of the financial year over for Australia, here are the number of nominations issued by the states for the first half. Now, the ACT was issued 600 places for each subclass, and they are getting close to reaching their cap. New South Wales is well under half for both visas, considering they were given 2,650 for the 190 visa and 1,500 for the 491 visa. They seem asleep at the wheel, as usual. The Northern Territory is very close to reaching their allocations, as they were only given 250 for the 190 visa and 400 for the 491 visa. Queensland is spreading out their invitations moderately, as they were given 900 for the 190 visa and 650 for the 491 visa. South Australia is close to reaching their 190 visa quota of 1,100, but under half for the 1,200 quota for the 491 places. Migration Tasmania has been slowly feeding out their invitations, keeping all potential applicants on the edge of their seat. Their results released this week indicate for the 190 visa, 374 of 600 places have been used. For the 491 visa, 267 places have now been used of the 600 available. So for the 190, there are 495 people who have registered their interest, waiting to see if they will be lucky enough to get one of those 226 places left. For the 491 visa, 418 people are waiting to see if they will get one of the 333 places left. It's a terrible wait, isn't it? At 30 places a week. Maybe just get it over and done with, so those poor 909 people waiting out there can just know the answer already. How frustrating this slow dribbling out of places must be. Western Australia has bestowed 913 of its precious 1,500 190 visa places and 420, almost exactly half, of their 850 491 quota. Victoria has given away just over half of their 190 and 491 invitations, with 1,700 of the 2,700 190s and 304 of the 600 491 allocations. It's yet another slow and painful handout. Of course, we are all hoping things will get back to normal next financial year. For the 189 visa, most of you know there has been only one invitation round this financial year, just before Christmas. The department has issued these details of the total number, occupations, and pass marks required. Only 8,300 189 visa hopefuls were invited, and just 79 for the 491 family-sponsored subclass. You can see in the occupation list that they are, of course, the priority occupations. Now you will notice that only 65 points was necessary for most of them, as the lowest score required. However, some of them have higher points listed, but I think that is not the points that they required, it's probably the lowest score people held in these occupations. Recently, the government quietly made changes to the partner visa regulations, allowing all 309 partner visa applicants who made their applications after the 25th of November 2023 to have their visas granted if they are in Australia or outside of Australia. Previously, they could only have their visas granted in Australia if they met certain conditions in relation to being in Australia during the COVID-19 concession period. This concession period ended on the 25th of November 2023. The new changes mean that all 309 partner visa applicants who applied for their visa after the 25th of November 2023 can be granted a bridging visa to stay in Australia until their visa is finalised, if they arrive in Australia on any other type of visa. The most common scenario would be a visitor visa. This gets a little complicated on the type of bridging visa available and the effects that such a bridging visa may have. So please book a time to discuss your circumstances if you need assistance. And to match those changes to the 309 visa, the 820 visa can also be granted to those applicants who were onshore or offshore if they applied after the 25th of November 2023, which now raises the obvious question, do we really need two versions of basically the same visa? The Education Minister, Brendan O'Connor, was proud to announce that many dodgy colleges have been shut down or sanctioned. In an article in The Australian this week, it was reported that since the government's announcement late last year to crack down on the vocational sector, supplying courses to international students studying here, 14 of them have been shut down, and about 70 have been sanctioned. Now, we looked everywhere to see which colleges they were, but we could not find a trace of any list. Students who are caught up in the middle of colleges' closures are assisted by the government to find another education provider. They are not just kicked out of Australia because of the fault of the provider. Over the last 25 years of being in this industry, I have seen many colleges shut down. Every decade there's a big cleanup, and then they creep back in and the cycle starts all over again. The recent unusually high failure rate of the Australian citizenship test was enough to catch national media attention, as Channel 7 was quick to point out.
Putting prospective Australians to the test, our most recent cohort scored a C.
This is about community cohesion.
Of 288,000 citizenship tests recently taken, only 65% passed.
Of course, the Liberals were on the attack faster than my Doberman greeting the postman. Of course, the irony of this typical useless media grab was because it was the Liberals themselves who made the test harder. The Labor government has not touched any settings. So I thought it was time to challenge my own skills on this test, just to see what all the fuss was about. I found this citizenship test quiz in the Australian's article about how 100,000 people failed this test in the last year. I was a little nervous about becoming 100,001. So here we go. Off to a good start with question 1. What is the Anzac Day? Well, that's pretty easy. Next was about the Aboriginal flag colour. I didn't know it, but luckily the two other alternatives and the colour mix did not seem right. Then came the third one. What is the Commonwealth coat of arms? This is getting harder, but I managed. And then came this one. What happened in Australia on the 1st of January 1901? Well, now I'm stumped. I've got really no idea. All three alternative answers sound feasible, so I choose one and get it wrong. I felt deflated. I'm a true patriot, served in the military and the police, but I got a question wrong on a basic citizenship test. This just can't be happening. So for all of you out there who may have failed this test, don't feel bad. Some of it is not easy, even for us citizens. Chin up and try again. And now it's time for one of our readers' comments of the week. Mohammed writes in and says, kindly raise our voice to do justice with the subclass 476 visa. We have been waiting for so long for the decision. We gave PTE tests, medical and all other documents. We gave our time, our full focus on it. Do justice with pending applicants for the 476 visa. Many 476 applicants were contacted by the Immigration Department and they were asked to spend time and money to conduct medical tests amongst other things. Surely we cannot have the Australian government asking people to spend time and money, many having to travel a long way to be able to do that medical test, and then say, well, sorry everyone, we've changed our minds, now we don't want you. That is an unconscionable act. What sort of signal is that to send out to the world about the credibility of our nation? It's the 476 visa today, next it can be any visa tomorrow. The government has spent millions of dollars on marketing campaigns just to get people to apply for the skilled visas to come here, and then turns around and does something like this. Surely they can realize that you can't expect to treat people poorly when you are advertising and searching for the cream of the crop of skilled migrants. I know the government expects the 476 visa applicants to accept their fates like dying old men and not make a fuss. In all good conscience, none of us should accept that.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.
Thanks for joining us tonight, and stay tuned for next week's edition. And we haven't forgotten about the over 5 students either. We have just been waiting for the minister to settle back into his office before we start asking the difficult questions. Now, if you need help, please go to our website and book a time, or call the office and talk to Pat or Hay to see if they can squeeze you in any earlier. As always, take care out there, and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.